big game for both programs. Anytime you meet up in a rivalry game, it always is, always intense. A lot of guys that have played against each other. Some of them played with each other. As you scan the roster, look at all the Florida connections on both programs. But either way, again, our guys are looking forward to a real tough competitive game and have been preparing for it, and looking forward to Saturday.
The fact that it is FAU, does that kind of, as far as getting the players' attention, put aside the 0-8 that they bring in?
It does, and it has to. I think, you watch across, not only in college football, you watch in high school, you watch in the NFL, whenever there's a rivalry game, I think all that stuff goes out the window. And the true storyline are guys that want to beat each other because they know each other, they played against each other, and they want to win, and they want to have those bragging rights over the course of the summer. So I do believe that's the main focus, and I know it's the main focus, of them as well, and it should be. And again, you look at last week, they played probably their best offensive football that they had against Arkansas State. In the third quarter, actually taking the lead from Arkansas State. We know how good of a team they are. So, yeah, we expect an extremely physical ball.
Have you talked to Howard at all?
I've not in a while. We go way back to the point where he recruited myself, and my brother. He's been in my house, on a couple of occasions. This is way back in '86 and '88. Makes you feel a little bit old, when you talk about that stuff. But obviously, he's had a tremendous career. I do believe he's responsible for changing the landscape of college football, and being an example of how to build programs and whatnot. So, but I've not had a chance to speak with him for a while.
And then, have you talked to any of the seniors yet about this being their last home game?
Well, we talk. We certainly do. The seniors, they really poured their hearts and souls into this program, just like everybody in the program. I mean, if you go right down the line, every administrator, every person in the training room, volunteers in the weight room, everyone does, and you really appreciate everything that they do. They have a chance, we have an opportunity to make this a really good season, and we got to go make it happen. That's the bottom line. This game, we expect this game to be an all-out. It'll be a war and a battle the whole way through. I think just like every Sun Belt game has proven to be, not only for ourselves but for the rest of the conference. It just seems it does come down to one possession. It does come down sometimes to one particular play. So a game like this, you prepare for it to be no different. You certainly prepare to go out and be your best, start fast, and always do your best to jump on top and go ahead. But always be prepared to respond to whatever is being thrown your way.
Coach, the offense has struggled a little bit the past few weeks. What adjustments can be made going into this game to correct those mistakes?
Well, the easy answer is execute, but we know it has to be more than that because we're not executing at the level that we're capable of. We have to do two things. Number one, work at executing the ones that we can, and then finding things that, maybe are better suited for our skill sets. Maybe some of the things that have been working for us before are not quite working for us right now. It's probably been a little bit more being out of sync than being capable of making it happen. And when that's the case, you work at it. You work on the timing of things. You work on spacing and distribution in the passing game, the simple things, the fundamentals, and then you do try to find other things. And that's what we've been working on as well. Because you just can't sit there and expect that it's going to happen. We've got to make it happen, and it involves everyone, from the players to the coaches. It involves what we do in practice. It certainly involves the details. The devil's certainly in the details, and we've got to make sure that we're as detailed and emphasize the things that we need to have success offensively on Saturday.
On those same lines, penalties, they become kind of frustrating to have to deal with.
Yeah.
With that, because it would seem like some of those things ought to have been put away before.
Well, one aspect we got better, offensively. The previous week we had 6 penalties in the first half. Second half had 1, and then had 1 this past game. But we certainly got tagged with a couple of personal foul penalties. The one that's tough to gauge whether it was one that was necessary or not is the one that they're driving on that last drive before they kick the field goal, because you're just killing yourself trying to get that one particular player out of bounds. You're trying to save yards and try to save space. And it wasn't a malicious hit. It wasn't a blow to the head. It wasn't anything that anyone was trying to hurt someone or be cheap. They were trying to make a football play. But the other ones are avoidable, certainly correctable. There's a lot of different things you do for that, from consequences to playing time that are tied with that, pulling guys. And education, that's the best part. Probably the most effective part is teaching how that revolves and how that is tied into situational football. What does that do to the big picture? That changes things by 15 yards. A 34-yard field could be a 49-yard field goal. That's a whole different animal. That's a different trajectory. That's easier to block. That's 15 more yards of space where they can go left or right, hit an upright or bounce off. So those things, it's a painful lesson for some of the young guys to learn. Unfortunately, it was at the expense of a loss, but in this game, you take it, you learn from it, you go forward, you get better. And in some of those aspects, we have gotten better. With the holdings, with the illegal motions and procedures, and some of the other ones we got hit, we got stung. With being offsides, which we hadn't before with some of the the trick cadences that we got ourselves into. But we have to keep getting better at it.
And when you look at it, Western is kind of duplicating what you guys did last year in a way, getting the momentum going and getting those kinds of breaks.
Come down to one play. Last year I think in some of these games we've been able to find it. And then some of the games this year we haven't. You look at our losses. I think at one point this past game, I believe it was 5 or 6 points against Duke, and about the same against Lafayette. I mean, they're coming down at one possession. One possession, you can make things happen. We have opportunities to make things happen, and we have opportunities to make it even better than a one possession game. We haven't, so there is no sitting around and crying about it and sulking about it. They're all tight games for a reason. We're doing some good things, but not enough good things, and we got to find as many good things as we can to make sure we have complete success.
The one bright spot for FAU this year offensively has been the running back freshman Morris. Just what have you seen anything from him?
Alfred Morris,
yes.
He's a great football player. I think he is one of the best ones in the conference, and I think he's a guy that will play on Sundays. He is a big guy, and he just rumbles and rambles over people all the time. His offensive line has done a real good job the past couple weeks as well. So have their tight ends. They also, they get the ball to him, they throw it to him as well. But he's just tough to bring down. And I know certainly he hurt us last year. He did. I mean, he was a contact plus 2 and 3 yards at a time. Sometimes he just broke through and made some real big plays. He had a couple real long runs last week against Arkansas State, who has been traditionally strong against the run. So, he's a guy. Xavier Simpson's another guy that hasn't been used as much, but is just as effective. Another 225-pound back that is really good. Actually, these are guys that are local guys that we know a lot of. He's an excellent blocker as well as a fullback. He's an excellent receiver when they split him out. They've been a little bit more multiple formation-wise at times. So you have to be prepared for where they put him and have to be ready to defend him.